Take you live to City Hall this morning. Mayor Olivia Chow is speaking to the media ahead of today's executive committee meeting. So let's listen to Mayor Chow's remarks now.
This combined with our plan to kickstart the development of 6,000 affordable rental units and 7,000 built rental units through an incentive programs, it will mean thousands of families will be able to find an affordable and safe place to call home. Now, people need to get around Toronto better, easily. We need to get Toronto moving. And thanks to our partnership with the federal and the provincial government, we are getting our order in with 55 brand new subway cars for Line 2. But transit is only one part of our transportation mix. Increasingly, Torontonians are turning to rideshare, particularly in the downtown core. A recent report to Council, to the Executive, which we'll be debating today, found that on average, the driver makes less than $6 an hour. There is no way anyone can survive the city of Toronto with the rent so high, with $6 an hour. And many of the drivers are new immigrants to Canada, and the promise of Toronto is that when you move here, work hard, make a living, you would be able to build your life. But for many rideshare drivers, that is not possible. So we need to make sure everyone can make ends meet, where they can build a good life, especially those people help us move around the city. Also, as we know, there are a record number of children using food banks in Toronto. At this committee, I will be putting forward a motion to get the funding in place for extra 8,000 kids so that in January they will have a decent meal in schools. And I'm open for some of you that may have questions.
I want to ask you about rideshare caps. It's not the first time you tried to do this. Last time it didn't last long. It was reversed. How confident are you that it will play out differently this time?
Well, last time, after we put the cap in, there was a lawsuit. I didn't want the City of Toronto to waste enormous amount of money to battle it out in court. At that time, there was the conversation was that there wasn't enough consultation. So there have been a lot of consultation throughout this year, and here's the report that is in front of us. We know that $6 an hour, it's not enough for this city, for anyone to survive in this city. And we as the City of Toronto, we don't have control over the employment standards. Employment standards, minimum wage, all of that is really the province of Ontario. They do have a bill that is coming into force in July, so we'll be working hard to help these workers to get better wages.
The report, just one follow-up, the report also notes that having this cap could hurt people in more suburban areas. Are you concerned about that? You mentioned the importance of transit, but concerned about with the cap focusing more the downtown core, people in suburban areas not having as much access to rideshare?
Well, there are two things. One is there's a bit of red tape involved right now, not because of the City of Toronto. So if I live in Markham and come down to the City of Toronto, would come to downtown, or vice versa, I might be picking up a cab that has a different license because every city licensed their own rideshare, which is duplication. And with this cap, how would it impact on other municipalities around the City of Toronto? Because rideshare goes all over Southern Ontario, right? So there is that piece of problem also. And in the report, you would notice that there are things in there that said, let's screen the fleet, which is something that we totally support.
When those reports came out, Uber responded, and if I might just quote slightly from their response, drivers without any industry consultation or accurate data, and then goes on to say that you are once again putting affordability, reliability, and safety of an important transportation option at risk. Could you respond to those two things, please? The consultation and the at risk.
Surge pricing is what makes some of the Uber rides not necessarily affordable. We have nothing to do with surge pricing. You probably saw the surge pricing when the subway unfortunately had to close for a bit of time. Surge pricing happens. Surge pricing happens when there is Taylor Swift concert, and we all witness that. So in terms of affordability, the whole system is very not transparent. It's very opaque. It's not clear how much is really given to the driver. So I think transparency is what's called for. So I think Uber, for example, should make their pricing transparent. How much is it actually goes to the drivers? How much is it go to the company? Now they're using AI, so it's really hard to tell for a person that is taking an Uber, for example. So in terms of consultation, the city staff have consulted extensively. That's why it took quite a long time. We said we would have this report ready. It was going to be ready in October or November. It's now December. Why? Because they've gone to many meetings for both the drivers and the industry. So there was extensive consultations.
Mayor, I just want to pick up on some of the comments that you made related to housing. So you mentioned, people feeling like the dream of first-time home ownership is just a dream. So what specifically are you doing today, putting forward in this meeting that would change that problem at all?
Earlier in this year, well, let me start by saying there are really two problems. Number one, the development industry said it takes too long to get anything approved. 5 years for official plan amendment, for site plan, for committee of adjustments, many years. Okay, so we did a one-stop shop thing. We have one person in charge of approving all the applications. So guess what? We've able to move from 5 years to less than a year. If it's affordable housing, a few months. So fast approval. One-stop shop. We're doing exactly the same thing in this report in front of the executive so that we are consolidating all the building, whether it's Create TO or Toronto Community Housing, the Housing Secretariat right now, there are different people doing different things. We're saying we will have one place, one expert that would oversee the building of housing. One place. We proved that it can be done when we want to speed up application. It will be done when we have one person, one department in charge of it all. Now, we'll still work very closely with Toronto Community Housing, Create TO when things are complex, but when there's a lot of moving parts, of course we'll be working with everyone. But buck stop at one place, which is what I discovered is the best way to go. If not, who is really, is it community housing? Is it Create TO? Is it, City of Toronto? Is it the Housing Secretary? It just doesn't work. So what that does is we have set a clear target, 6,000 affordable units. We're putting money in there to build. We're putting an industry expert in there to help build, okay? And then on this last month, we said we are giving incentives by canceling development charges to 20,000 private builders, for 20,000 units of rental housing. And you will see at council the first 7,000 coming forward. We're approving the first 7,000. Okay, so, yeah, sorry.
Mayor Chair, just on the ride share.
Okay, so we've been listening in as Toronto Mayor Olivia Chow is speaking ahead of her executive committee meeting, which is going today down at City Hall, highlighting some of the improvements or changes when it comes to housing in the city, talking about having one department in charge of this. Also getting the specifics of an idea of maybe capping rideshare, saying the last time this came out, there was a lawsuit filed by Uber. This time the mayor says there's been a lot of consultation. It's taken even a little longer to get this report. So all of that is going to be discussed down at City Hall today at the executive committee. We will, of course, have complete coverage of that here on CP24.